Hello, everybody. Happy Friday. How are you guys? I hope you guys are good. Hope you had an awesome Friday. Hope everybody is good. Got any plans for the weekend? Kiki said it's storming. I thought we were supposed to get a storm today, and then it just went right by us. We didn't get a drop of rain. We need it, but we haven't gotten any yet. Hey, Sugar. Yes, everybody, please remember to hit that thumbs up on your way in. Kiki, thanks for being here. Glad to see you. Okay. So, a lot of the times I get comments here and there. They're like, "Thank you so much for talking about the stuff you talk about." Like, so many people are afraid to talk about these things because they're afraid of offending somebody or losing subs or, something like that. So, I get a lot of people that, do appreciate the content. So, I just want you guys to know that I do it because listen, everybody who has a channel, who has a platform, wants obviously to get as many views and as many subs as possible. But at the same time, I'm not going to be one of those people that, sells my soul for the subs, if you guys know what I mean. I'm not going to be one of those people that will pretend like I'm down with something that I'm not down with just so I can get clicks and views. I'm just not that person. I keep it more real than that. Hello, everybody. Katie Bug, Mama Moon, Lazy Llama, Mary Thomas. Did y'all go check out that? If you have not seen my video from earlier today, please go and check that out. But did you guys, because I know a lot of you guys were in there, did you guys all watch the full documentary? Let me just catch everybody that's coming in. Agape Love, Dams, Ashley B, Suzanne. Hello, everybody. Thanks for stopping in. So there's a lot of stuff that I want to go over. Oh, okay. There's a lot of stuff I want to go over and get through. And then I'll sit and chat with you guys when I get that all done. But there's some stuff that I want to put out that, unfortunately, a lot of people don't want to deal with. So, no, I know what a woman is. LOL. Yeah. You'll be surprised how many people cannot answer that question. Sounds crazy. I know. All right. So let's just jump on in, everybody. All right. Oxford College threatens to expel students who use the wrong pronouns. That doesn't even sound legal to me. A prestigious university of Oxford College has announced that consistent use of incorrect pronouns, dead naming, or intrusive questioning are now to be considered suitable grounds for expulsion. I don't know.
We got the lights walking.
All right. Unveiled in their trans inclusion statement, shut that door down, thank you. Regents Park College declared that unlawful discriminatory behavior, including transphobic harassment or bullying, will be regarded extremely serious and could be grounds for disciplinary action. Now, I do want to say this, that so this is talking about addressing people with the wrong pronouns, right? So they're basically telling these kids that if you don't agree to what they are saying, and if you don't address them as they want to be addressed, then we will expel you. That's not hate, right? Not conforming to the trend should not be considered hatred. right? If they have the right to walk around and pretend to be the opposite sex, then we have the right whether or not to acknowledge that. But that's not being hateful. That's not spreading hate. That's just me sticking to who I am and what my beliefs are. I'm not pushing my beliefs on anybody else, so don't push your shit on me. That's all. While Regents Park College went on to concede that it is not possible to have a comprehensive definition of transphobia, the college endeavored to outline a list of examples of harassment that may lead to expulsion or dismissal. Included in the examples of harassment is consistently using incorrect titles, pronouns, or names to refer to a trans person, which is apparently dead naming, especially where this causes distress. Well, I'm going to tell you right now that having a parade with men, full-grown men, in S&M gear, being walked around on all fours with leashes around their neck, half naked, next to 4 and 5 and 6-year-old children, that is causing me distress. That is causing me distress. So why is it right for one, but not right for the other, right? Ow. Also banned is unduly intrusive or personal questioning, making jokes about trans people or their trans status, and denying or disputing the validity and or existence of a trans person's identity. The college proclaimed that it also respects the rights of those holding gender-critical beliefs, which are to be protected, provided their expression does not constitute harassment as not respecting the rights and freedoms of others. By implementing a specific policy about gender identity, Regents Park College is thought to be the first college to recognize trans as a protected characteristic. The statement comes in the wake of headline-hitting controversy at the Oxford Union over the appearance of Professor Kathleen Stock, who has vocal gender-critical views. So if you do not call somebody by what they claim to be, then you can be kicked out of college. I mean, this is crazy. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. If you want to do it, do it. But don't come to me for resolution. Don't ask me to play along with your behavior. You know what I mean? Don't, because I'm not going to. I would just not address you at all if that's the case. Oh, Ashley's working on her garden. That's awesome. Hey, Judy. Okay. Let's move on. So this man right here, if I do not agree, right, I can say, all right, I'll just play the video. Let me know what you guys think. I want to know what you guys think of this in general, okay? Let me mute myself real quick.
This morning, I came to my local school playground to talk to children about sex and gender. No, I'm not a teacher, but I know for sure they're not learning any of these lessons in their school. And I want to change that. Unfortunately, the principal came out and told me to leave. I refused, naturally. She then said she was going to call the police. How unfortunate. But here's a promise I made right now. Whether it's a child in kindergarten or a police officer, if they meet me here on this playground, they're going to get a lesson in sex and gender. Do the work, get out there, go to your local playground, start a conversation. This morning, I came to my local school playground.
I mean, I, for one, don't know what this guy's deal is. Like, I don't know what he is, I don't know what his preference is, I will say. But first of all, you're a grown ass man and you're posting a video about how you're going to a playground to talk to children about sex. And that's just weird to me, right? He's like, unfortunately, the school principal come out and told me I had to leave. Well, yeah, because you're a grown man wanting to go talk about inappropriate things with children who aren't yours. But come after people like me. Come censor people like me. Don't censor people who put shit out there like that. Come after the people who are trying to push the truth, right? Come after the people that are, come censor the truth instead of censoring the freaks out there. Craziness. Okay. This is just a reminder. There's 26 of you in here and only 19 likes. Look down. If you have not hit that like button, go ahead and hit that button for me. I promise it's easy peasy. All right. Yeah, you'd get an ass kicking from me too. All right.
Chicago's.
They are now making plant-based V's. Okay? Plant-based V's.
Chicago's manufacturing facility looks like a nursery, but inside these plants, they're growing a new kind of vaccine. The technology is called a virus-like particle.
At Medicago, we use a careful step-by-step process to develop vaccines, using our plants as mini bioreactors. We start with a gene sequence or code of a virus. We then use our technology to synthesize the virus code into a real biological product. The code contains genetic instructions that our plants can read, and we insert it into bacteria called Agrobacterium tumefaciens. We submerge the plants in a bath with the bacteria that carries the information into the plant cells. And using a vacuum, we suck out the air between the plant cells and replace it with the liquid. The plants absorb it like a sponge. At the end of their bacterial bath, we return our plants to a carefully controlled greenhouse to let them get on with their natural growing business for at least 4 days. Now the plants will start producing the most important ingredient of our vaccines, virus-like particles.
I think it's just a way to get the V's into the food. You know what I mean? Because it's not going to say that on the package. When you go to buy your greens at the store, it's not going to say, oh, by the way, it contains, this kind of E, whatever. So I think it's a way to get it into the public food supply. That's why every day I say more and more, it's like, everybody should grow their own food if they can. All right. Nothing about that is natural. Okay, y'all thought I was talking crazy earlier. Check it out. No, Target is not using Baphomet mannequins to push satanic clothing to kids. Really? What would you call this? What would you call this? I'm not spreading images online. This is the image. Sure looks like a Baphomet section to me. I mean, for God's sakes. How is Target even still in business, honestly? Honestly. Don't say that. Don't say Target has got a Baphomet section. That's misinformation. Really? Really? Okay. Whatever y'all say. I don't ever go to Target, ever. But I didn't go to Target before this either. So, all right, you guys want to laugh? You want a little laugh? Let's look at this mama who caught her son on Zoom, right? Caught him skipping school. Let's see what happens.
What you mean? Don't you supposed to be at home? Get your brown here. Dude, move. No. Now do it again. Do it again. What are you talking about? Get your ass up here. Get your ass. Take it out. Get your ass down there. Here. Get.
My gosh. I was dying laughing. It was so freaking funny. That's what mamas are supposed to be doing. That's how mamas are supposed to be. She's like, what'd you say? Do it again. Do it again. See what happens. I'll whip you right here in this store. She done whipped him out of his shoes. All right. Maybe if more kids had mamas like that these days. We wouldn't be where we are as a society. She sure did. Okay. Remember in the last live I did, I talked about farmers. They're coming after farmers. Okay. South Dakota farmers face carbon capture land theft. Well, farmers in South Dakota are facing egregious intimidation tactics by a private company that wants to use eminent domain to confiscate valuable farmland for carbon capture pipelines. Summit Carbon Solutions requested a restraining order against Brown County farmer Jared Bosley. The company claims he threatened the lives of its representatives who showed up unannounced to survey his property, a farm that has been in his family for 4 generations. Yeah, I'm still waiting to hear the bad part, right? He acted like anybody else would have. He told the New American that when they arrived, sorry, hold on, hold on, you guys, give me 1 second, okay? Something happened. Okay, sorry about that. Okay, so when they arrived, he was about 12 miles away working in a field. His wife was home recovering from gallbladder surgery and was taking a shower when the Summit surveyors knocked at her door. They entered the house, but finding no one there, they proceeded to an outbuilding where one of them walked in. In the tweet below, you can see footage from one of Bosley's security cameras, which captured all of this movement. So, first of all, they showed up at his house, knocked on the door, nobody answered, and they literally walked in this guy's house. What I'm about to tell you should be the most important story in America, but no national media is talking about it. One of the biggest invasions of property rights in American history is currently happening in South Dakota to expand green energy. The Summit staff walked out onto the Bosley's property and started setting up a tripod. By that time, Mrs. Bosley, with Jared on the phone, confronted them and asked them to leave. Jared said that the sheriff should be present if the company wanted access to his land, so the surveyors left. His wife called Jared back later that day to say a detective had just left the farm. Summit had reported Bosley for threatening to kill the surveyors. They also charged him with contempt of court for interfering with their survey activities. Dude, this is crazy. Bosley faced off in county court with the company on Wednesday. The judge ruled in favor of the landowner, but he warned other farmers not to interfere with surveyors, threatening sanctions if they do. Another farmer who attended the hearing told the New American that the judge also refused to hear any evidence against Summit. That farmer complained that they appeared to get away with their lies. Now, I wonder why that is. Bosley is one of more than 80 landowners in South Dakota facing eminent domain lawsuits from Summit. In April, Fifth Circuit Judge Richard Summers granted the company's motion to conduct surveys of all land along their planned pipeline corridor, even private property. Taxpayers who originally declined to sign easement agreements are now forced to stand by as the company maps and drills on their land. This is total and complete BS. They have absolutely zero legal right to his land, yet because of a court order by a judge, which, by the way, should be a reason enough to get him investigated, they don't have a choice. Another Brown County farmer, Freddie Robinson, spoke before last week's county commission meeting about his safety concerns at the hands of Summit surveyors. Why do they have armed people standing in the middle of the road with guns so people can't go on their property? I served 32 years in foreign countries, so that would not happen in America. I understand that when a car comes down the road, this bunch of mafia or whatever they are with guns unsnap their guns and put their hands on their guns. This is America. That crap should not be happening here. It's almost like we're turning into a, what's that, guys? A communist country. Carbon capture is a process that traps carbon dioxide produced by ethanol plants and pipes it to remote locations for underground storage. Two companies are planning pipelines through South Dakota's Corn Belt. Summit Carbon Solutions wants to build the Midwest Carbon Express, and Navigator CO2 Ventures is proposing the Heartland Greenway. These companies are for-profit enterprises that also stand to gain a federal tax credit of $50 per ton of CO2 sequestered. Navigator alone is looking at a $750 million tax credit.
Am I back red?
No. I don't see anything.
And then smacked me in my forepaws.
Like
8 times.
For the 15 million tons of CO2 that it plans to transport. The federal government alleges that capturing this CO2 is necessary to stop catastrophic man-made climate change. Farmers such as Bosley and Robinson see through that smokescreen and call it what it is, one of the largest private land grab schemes in American history. And that is absolutely correct. The hearing was a win, but it wasn't. The judge said right off the bat that he wasn't going to hold Jared in contempt for his threat, so the judge seemed to accept that it actually happened without seeing any evidence. The judge passed the buck and refused to let our attorney, Brian Jord, present any evidence. His reasoning was that it didn't matter because he was still going to rule the same way regardless. But it does matter. The judge refused to get to the heart of the issue, the fact that Summit lied about the threat and that they committed breaking and entering. Summit and its surveyors are the ones who should be charged with crimes, but they got off. A double standard, in my opinion. The judge also warned all us landowners in the room not to impede his order to allow the surveyors to continue, or there will be sanctions. Why are the landowners getting lectured and not Summit? The judge refuses to deal with the heart of the issue and pass the buck to the SD Supreme Court. Now we landowners are left with having to deal with Summit, which is allowed to break laws without being held to account. It is literally a freaking land grab, illegally being done to the American people. All right, let's see. I'm a meme girl. Let's see. Hey, that video you're showing about the V's in the plants, I have been hearing that they are doing that to a lot of our vegetables. The people that bought up all of our land for farming. Yes, they are. Bill Gates actually bought a lot of farmland, like a crap ton of farmland. And he has these huge warehouses where he's growing this plant-based garbage. And I I too believe that it is being injected with V's. For sure. My aunt and I are going to look for a property this weekend so we can grow our own food. Absolutely. Absolutely. If you can grow your own food, grow your own food. Okay. Let's move on. All right. New Jersey schools must teach middle schoolers about ANAL, SEX, pregnancy options, or risk disciplinary actions. One school superintendent warned schools could lose federal funding if they fail to implement new sex ed standards. Any parent that sees this headline and does not immediately get infuriated, it's beyond me. It blows my mind. I mean, I swear, thank God my kids are not in school, but if they were, and one of them came home and told me that they had to learn about this right here, oh, I mean, that'd be it. That's, you know what? You better pull your kids out of school right now. New statewide sex ed standards in New Jersey teach students as young as 13 years old about ANAL, SEX, and their pregnancy options, and school districts that fail to comply could face disciplinary action or even a loss of funding. Do you know why that is? Because the Department of Education is the national standard, right? They put up what has to be taught in schools, and then if the schools don't comply, they will pull their funding. And without funding, apparently you cannot have a school, right? So shut them all down. Dismantle the Department of Education because it's not doing anything but poisoning the minds of your children. All right. The standards were adopted by the New Jersey Board of Education in June 2020, and schools are required to implement them beginning this month. Go figure. Amid concern from parents and school districts, the State Department of Education has warned that schools who fail to implement the new standards may face discipline. The state standards describe what students should learn by each grade level, and it is up to the districts to design a curriculum to adhere to those standards. By 8th grade, according to the New Jersey standards, students should describe pregnancy testing, the signs of pregnancy, and pregnancy options, including parenting, abortion, and adoption, and they should be able to define by 8th grade these things. I'm not even going to repeat them. Whoops. By 8th grade, the student should also develop a plan to eliminate or reduce risk of unintended pregnancy and STIs. One mother of students in the Berkeley Heights School District called the standards harmful and offensive, adding it was difficult to find on her school's website exactly what her children would be learning. The mom, who asked to remain anonymous, has chosen to opt her children out of the part of updated sex ed curriculum she and her husband found alarming, but worried other parents in the state may be unaware of what is being taught. All I'm asking for is transparency and accountability, she said, adding she hopes other parents realize there are ways to opt out. I had to send quite a few emails and figure out who is in charge and teaching what to get to this point, she said, adding that it is a lot of work for most parents. The superintendent of the Berkeley Heights School District, Dr. Melissa Varley, told Fox News Digital the district presented the new PE health curriculum on August 11th at the public board meeting. The assistant superintendent and PE health supervisor explained in detail the opt-out process available to all parents. In addition, all parents are welcome to personally review the curriculum guides and teaching materials, she added. It doesn't matter. The point is that the Department of Education is requiring, and let's think about this. 8th grade, you are what? You are, so 8, okay, so you're what, 12, 13 years old? I don't think so. They're saying by 12, 13 years old, your kids need to be able to define exactly what each one of these sexual encounters are. Why? Why? Why are they pushing that on your children? It said by 8th grade, they have to know all of this. Let me see what you guys are saying. There has been more Bible prophecy that has come through in the last few years than ever in our lives or our past. This is all part of what's going to be the new normal for America. The beast is awake. Yeah, it's insane. And I, for one, do not think that a bunch of strangers in a room should dictate at what age it's appropriate for your children to hear and see and learn about these things. But, I mean, that's just me. Call me crazy. Call me old-fashioned. Whatever. Call it what you want. Okay. Now, I'm going to play this. I think this is it's pretty long, but I think it's so important, and I think a lot of people should hear it. If they're going to push in public schools and everybody homeschools are going to push that requirement that you homeschool your children that way, there's no way out, and it's messed up. All right, let me pull this up.
It is a particularly interesting location for me to be sitting today, given that over a decade ago, I sat in this very chair right here in the European Union Parliament. And at that time, I warned the world of what was coming. During that conversation that was hosted at the time by the Green and EFA and a number of the other parties of the European Union's various representations, we were having a conversation on whether Europe should adopt the United States policy of allowing for the patents on biologically derived materials. And at the time, I urged this body and I urged people around the world that the weaponization of nature against humanity had dire consequences. Tragically, I sit here today with that unfortunate line that I don't like to say, which I told you so. But the fact of the matter is, we're here not for a reprisal on past decisions. We're here to actually, once again, come to the face of the human condition and ask the question, who do we want to be? What do we want humanity to look like? And rather than seeing this as an exercise in futility, which is very easy from time to time when you're in the position I'm in, I actually see this not as an exercise in futility. I see this as one of the greatest opportunities that faces us, because we now have a public conversation, which is now front and center in people's minds. When this was an esoteric conversation about biological patents, nobody cared. But when that conversation came home, then it became something people can care about. So I'm actually quite grateful for this opportunity. I thank the members of Parliament for hosting this. I thank all of the translators who, I apologize in advance. I will use terminology that is probably very difficult to translate, so my apologies. And I'd also like to acknowledge the fact that many of you are aware of my involvement with this, in large part due to the amazing work of my wonderful wife, Kim Martin, who encouraged me at the very early days of this pandemic to get on front of the camera and talk about all the information that I had been sharing among very small groups around the world. And it was, in fact, her encouragement that put me in a place where many of you have heard what I have to say. Ironically, the world that I came from, that used to be very popular, my CNBC and Bloomberg presentations, which were televised on mainstream media around the world, was an audience that I lost. I can confidently say COVID diminished my fame. But I can also confidently say that I'd rather stand among the people with whom I'm standing today than any of the folks that were part of that previous world. So this is a much better place to be. My role today is to set the stage for this conversation in a historical context, because this did not come in the last 3 years. This did not come in the last 5 or 6 years. This actually is an ongoing question that probably began here in Europe in the early stages of the mid-1900s, but certainly by 1913, 1914, this conversation started right here in Central Europe. The pandemic that we alleged to have happen in the last few years also did not happen overnight. In fact, the very specific pandemic using coronavirus began in a very different time. And we'll try to advance the slides here with one of these things. Oh, there we go. Most of you don't know that coronavirus as a model of a pathogen was isolated in 1965. Coronavirus was identified in 1965 as one of the first infectious replicatable viral models that could be used to modify a series of other experiences of the human condition. It was isolated once upon a time associated with the common cold. But what's particularly interesting about its isolation in 1965 was that it was immediately identified as a pathogen that could be used and modified for a whole host of reasons. And you heard me correctly, that was 1965. And by the way, these slides are public domain. You're welcome to look at every single reference. Every comment that I made is based on published material. So do make sure that you look at those references. But in 1966, the very first COV coronavirus model was used as a transatlantic biological experiment in human manipulation. And you heard the date, 1966. I hope you're getting the point of what I'm saying. This is not an overnight thing. This is actually something that's been long in the making. A year before I was born, we had the first transatlantic coronavirus data sharing experiment between the United States and the United Kingdom. And in 1967, the year I was born, we did the first human trials on inoculating people with modified coronavirus. Isn't that amazing? 56 years ago, the overnight success of a pathogen that's been 56 years in engineering. And I want that to chill with all of you. Where were we when we actually allowed, in violation of biological and chemical weapons treaties, where were we as a human civilization when we thought it was an acceptable thing to do to take a pathogen for the United States and infect the world with it? Where was that conversation? And what should have been that conversation in 1967? That conversation wasn't had. Ironically, the common cold was turned into a chimera in the 1970s. And in 1975, 1976, and 1977, we started figuring out how to modify coronavirus by putting it into different animals, pigs and dogs. And not surprisingly, by the time we got to 1990, we found out that coronavirus as an infectious agent was an industrial problem for two primary industries, the industries of dogs and pigs. Dog breeders and pigs found that coronavirus created gastrointestinal problems, and that became the basis for Pfizer's first spike protein vaccine patent, filed, are you ready for this, in 1990. Did you hear what I just said? 1990. Operation Warp Speed? I'm sorry. Where's the warp and the speed? Pfizer, 1990, the very first spike protein vaccine for coronavirus. Isn't that fascinating? Isn't it fascinating that we were told that, well, the spike protein is a new thing. We just found out that that's the problem. No. As a matter of fact, we didn't just find out it was not just now the problem. We found that out in 1990 and filed the first patents on vaccines in 1990 for the spike protein of coronavirus. And who would have thought? Pfizer. Clearly the innocent organization that does nothing but promote human health. Clearly Pfizer. The organization that has not bought the votes in this chamber and in every chamber of every government around the world. Not that Pfizer. Certainly, they wouldn't have had anything to do with this. But oh, yes, they did. And in 1990, they found out that there was a problem with vaccines. They didn't work. You know why they didn't work? It turns out that coronavirus is a very malleable model. It transforms and it changes and it mutates over time. As a matter of fact, every publication on vaccines for coronavirus from 1990 until 2018, every single publication concluded that coronavirus escapes the vaccine impulse because it modifies and mutates too quickly for vaccines to be effective. And since 1990 to 2018, that is the published science, ladies and gentlemen. That's following the science. Following the science is their own indictment of their own programs that said it doesn't work. And there are thousands of publications to that effect, not a few hundred. And not paid for by pharmaceutical companies. These are publications that are independent scientific research that shows unequivocally, including efforts of the chimera modifications made by Ralph Baric in the University of North Carolina, Chapel Hill. All of them show vaccines do not work on coronavirus. That's the science. And that science has never been disputed. But then we had an interesting development in 2002. And this date is most important because in 2002, the University of North Carolina, Chapel Hill patented, and I quote, an infectious replication defective clone of coronavirus. Listen to those words, infectious replication defective. What does that phrase actually mean? For those of you not familiar with language, let me unpack it for you. Infectious replication defective means a weapon. It means something meant to target an individual, but not have collateral damage to other individuals. That's what infectious replication defective means. And that patent was filed in 2002 on work funded by NIAID's Anthony Fauci from 1999 to 2002. And that work, patented at the University of North Carolina, Chapel Hill, mysteriously preceded SARS 1.0 by a year. Dave, are you suggesting that SARS 1.0 wasn't from a wet market in Wuhan? Are you suggesting it might have come from a laboratory in the University of North Carolina, Chapel Hill? No, I'm not suggesting it. I'm telling you that's the facts. We engineered SARS. SARS is not a naturally occurring phenomenon. The naturally occurring phenomenon is called the common cold. It's called influenza-like illness. It's called gastroenteritis. That's the naturally occurring coronavirus. SARS is the research developed by humans weaponizing a life system model to actually attack human beings. And they patented it in 2002. And in 2003, giant surprise, the CDC filed the patent on coronavirus isolated from humans in violation, once again, of biological and chemical weapons treaties and laws that we have in the United States. And I'm very, very precise on this. The United States likes to talk about its rights and everything else and the rule of law and all the nonsense that we like to talk about. But we don't ratify treaties about, I don't know, defending humans. We conspicuously avoid that. We actually have a great track record of advocating for human rights and then denying them when it comes to actually being part of the international community, which is a slightly problematic thing. But let's get something very clear. When the CDC in April of 2003 filed the patent on SARS coronavirus isolated from humans, what did they do? They downloaded a sequence from China and filed a patent on it in the United States. Any of you familiar with biological and chemical weapons treaties knows that's a violation. That's a crime. That's not an innocent oops. That's a crime. And the United States Patent Office went as far as to reject that patent application on 2 occasions until the CDC decided to bribe the Patent Office to override the patent examiner to ultimately issue the patent in 2007 on SARS coronavirus. But let's not let that get away from us, because it turns out that the RT-PCR, which was the test that we allegedly were going to use to identify the risks associated with coronavirus, was actually identified as a bioterrorism threat by me in the European Union sponsored events in 2002 and 2003, 20 years ago. That happened here in Brussels and across Europe. In 2005, this particular pathogen was specifically labeled as a bioterrorism and bioweapon platform technology. Described as such. That's not my terminology that I'm applying to it. It was actually described as a bioweapons platform technology in 2005. And from 2005 onwards, it was actually a biowarfare enabling agent, its official classification from 2005 forward. I don't know if that sounds like public health to you. Does it? Biological warfare enabling technology. That feels like not public health. That feels like not medicine. That feels like a weapon designed to take out humanity. That's what it feels like. And it feels like that because that's exactly what it is. We have been lured into believing that EcoHealth Alliance and DARPA and all of these organizations are what we should be pointing to. But we've been specifically requested to ignore the facts that over $10 billion have been funneled through black operations through the check of Anthony Fauci and a side-by-side ledger where NIAID has a balance sheet and next to it is a biodefense balance sheet equivalent dollar for dollar matching that no one in the media talks about. And it's been going on since 2005. Our gain of function moratorium, the moratorium that was supposed to freeze any efforts to do gain of function research. Conveniently, in the fall of 2014, the University of North Carolina, Chapel Hill received a letter from NIAID saying that while the gain of function moratorium on coronavirus in vivo should be suspended, because their grants had already been funded, they received an exemption. Did you hear what I just said? A biological weapons lab facility at the University of North Carolina, Chapel Hill, received an exemption from the gain of function moratorium so that by 2016, we could publish the journal article that said SARS coronavirus is poised for human emergence in 2016. And what, you might ask, Dave, was the coronavirus poised for human emergence? It was WIV1, Wuhan Institute of Virology Virus 1. poised for human emergence in 2016 at the proceedings of the National Academy of Sciences, such that by the time we get to 2017 and 2018, the following phrase entered into common parlance among the community. There is going to be an accidental or intentional release of a respiratory pathogen. The operative word, obviously, in that phrase, the word release. Does that sound like leak? Does that sound like a bat and a pangolin went into a bar in the Wuhan market and hung out and had sex, and lo and behold, we got SARS-CoV-2? No. Accidental or intentional release of a respiratory pathogen was the terminology used, and 4 times in April of 2019, 7 months before the allegation of patient number 1, 4 patent applications of Moderna were modified to include the term accidental or intentional release of a respiratory pathogen as the justification for making a vaccine for a thing that did not exist. Keep going. If you have not done so, please make sure that you make reference in every investigation to the premeditation nature of this, because it was in September of 2019 that the world was informed that we were going to have an accidental or intentional release of a respiratory pathogen so that by September 2020, there would be a worldwide acceptance of a universal vaccine template. That's their words, right in front of you on the screen. The intent was to get the world to accept a universal vaccine template, and the intent was to use coronavirus to get there. And the last slide. This isn't advancing, so if I could have somebody do it. Let's read this, because we have to read this into the record everywhere I go. Until an infectious disease crisis is very real, present, and at the emergency threshold, that is often largely ignored. To sustain the funding base beyond the crisis, he said, we need to increase the public understanding for the need for medical countermeasures such as a pan-influenza or pan-coronavirus vaccine. A key driver is the media, and the economics will follow the hype. We need to use that hype to our advantage to get to the real issues. Investors will respond if they see profit at the end of the process. Sounds like public health? Sounds like the best of humanity? No, ladies and gentlemen, this was premeditated domestic terrorism stated at the proceedings of the National Academy of Sciences in 2015, published in front of them. This is an act of biological and chemical warfare perpetrated on the human race, and it was admitted to in writing that this was a financial heist and a financial fraud. Investors will follow if they see profit at the end of the process. Let me conclude by making 5 very brief recommendations. The last slide. Nature was hijacked. This whole story started in 1965 when we decided to hijack a natural model and decide to start manipulating it. Science was hijacked when the only questions that could be asked were questions authorized under the patent protection of the CDC, the FDA, the NIH, and their equivalent organizations around the world. We didn't have independent science. We had hijacked science. And unfortunately, there was no moral oversight in violation of all of the codes that we stand for. There was no independent, financially disinterested, independent review board ever impaneled around coronavirus, not once. Not once. Not since 1965. We do not have a single independent IRB ever impaneled around coronavirus. So morality was suspended for medical countermeasures. And ultimately, humanity was lost because we decided to allow it to happen. Our job today is to say, no more gain-of-function research, period. No more weaponization of nature, period. And most importantly, no more corporate patronage of science for their own self-interest unless they assume 100% product liability for every injury and every death that they maintain. Thank you very much.
Okay. All right. I mean, it's there. The information is all out there. I mean, yeah, I think that video is so important. You know, it doesn't matter whether people believed it, didn't believe it, got it, didn't get it. I think people just need, I'm a firm believer in being aware. Be aware of the truth. Be aware of what is happening. I'm so grateful for you sharing this information out there, Christy. I never heard a single word about Arby's murder till you said it. Yeah, you know, and that's the thing. That's the problem, is the truth never makes it to the mainstream media. You know, and they are told to put out what they put out. It's a national thing. It goes to everybody. Where's the truth? You know, where's the real shit? Where's the real stuff that's going on? Where's the reality that all us people are living in? Where's all the information on that? Okay. I know. And think about all of the people that were forced to, right? If you don't take it, you're going to lose your job. If you don't take it, we're not going to do that surgery. If you don't take it, you can't see your grandma. You know what I'm saying? If you don't take it, I remember when they came out and it was, 2 weeks to stop the curve, you know, 2 weeks. And then 2 weeks turned into months, and then months turned into freaking a year, 2 years. Craziness. Like, people cut people out of their lives who chose not to get it. People didn't see their family members or their mother, you know what I mean, for over a year. I mean, it not to mention the effects it had on people's mental health. And now they come out and start releasing this bit by bit by bit. And you're like, really? That was my life. That was my life. And it's all BS. You know, you made me take that. And now, I mean, look at the healthy young athletes that were just dropping dead on the fields. It's crazy. Craziness. 12-year-olds having freaking heart attacks. Blood clots a foot long. I mean, insane. And all the suicide rates drastically increased. Then offering money to get yeah, they did. I remember when they came out and they were like, we'll give you $100. And not only that, they were offering people money. They were offering people, dude, I remember Dunkin' Donuts was like, hey, we'll give you a free donut if you come in with proof of your big V. You know, there were people even giving away cars at the time. You know, there are people like, oh, we'll give you a raise if you get this. Like that's scary. All right, let's move on. Yeah. Why? Okay, bombshell evidence. Russia presents documents confirming the U.S. experimentation with avian flu pathogens with lethality rate of up to 40% in humans at biolab in Ukraine. That's right, you guys. All that money, all that funding that was going to Ukraine had nothing to do with a war. Okay, let me see if I can freaking, hold on a second, y'all. Okay, let me read a little bit and then I'll try to zoom into that. Not too long ago, Mitt Romney used threats towards former Rep. Tulsi Gabbard, who had raised concerns about U.S. funding of biolabs in Ukraine. In March 2022, Senator Mitt Romney accused former Democratic Representative Tulsi Gabbard of spreading treasonous lies for simply talking about the biolabs in Ukraine funded by the United States. Why is the United States funding biolabs in Ukraine? There are 25 plus U.S. funded biolabs in Ukraine which, if breached, would release and spread deadly pathogens to U.S., the world. We must take action now to prevent disaster. U.S., Russia, Ukraine, NATO, UN, EU must implement a ceasefire now around these labs until they're secured and pathogens destroyed. Tulsi Gabbard made her statement based on testimony from the Undersecretary of State for Political Affairs in Eurasia, Victoria Nuland. Real quick, do you guys remember, when Hurricane Katrina came through? When Hurricane Katrina went through there, right? They had that lab that stored all of those deadly viruses. And afterwards, they said that there was a briefcase full of deadly viruses that they could not account for. It just came up missing. And that was it. You never, ever heard about it again. Where are those deadly viruses that just happened to escape and disappear in the middle of Hurricane Katrina? Yeah, they don't tell you about that. You don't hear about that on the news. During her testimony before a U.S. Senate committee, Victoria Nuland openly acknowledged the existence of biological research labs in Ukraine. Within a span of a few hours, Jen Psaki, that woman. I could not stand that woman. The White House press secretary dismissed the reports of biolabs in Ukraine as fake news. Oh, fake news. You and your paid fact checkers out there. The Democrat fake news media complex then attacked anyone who talked about the biolabs in Ukraine. Kind of like they attacked anyone who talked about the Big C. Now you get where I'm going? Mitt Romney lashed out at Tulsi Gabbard, saying Tulsi Gabbard is parroting false Russian propaganda. Her treasonous lies may well cost lives. And then, in a significant turn of events, Russia released seized documents from Ukraine revealing evidence of U.S. military biolabs operating there. Russia made the accusation in front of the United Nations General Assembly, acknowledging the existence of 46 biolabs in Ukraine funded by the United States. This is, This is after months of lies and denials by Democrats, that Biden regime and their fake news mainstream media. And now Russia is leveling accusations against the United States, alleging the experimentation with avian flu pathogens at a U.S. biolab in Ukraine with a potential lethality rate of up to 40% in humans. Documents seized in the veterinary laboratory of the Biosphere Reserve in Askania Nova Curzon region confirm the involvement of the Kharkov Institute of Veterinary Medicine in the work of UP8 and P444 projects and preparations for the Flu Flyway project. All right, now let me see if I can zoom into this for you guys. Maybe. Study of the spreading highly dangerous pathogens through migratory birds. Yep, that's the UP4 project. P44 project. Monitoring an avian influenza Newcastle disease. Paramyxoviruses. What the hell does that say? Wild birds from Azova Black Sea region. Flu Flyway project, examining the wild duck's migration pattern in Europe and the spread of avian influenza among domestic bird populations. All done and to hide them from the people. Now, let me go back down here. Let me see if I can zoom in on this up here a little bit, so you guys can, maybe we can see what that's, a little bit of what the hell that says. Okay. So this over here, organizational chart of the strategy implementation. U.S. President's National Security Advisor, National Security Council, Biosafety Managing Committee. Yeah, So there's the chain that it has to go through. Now let's read this. The department will make substantial investments in support of the strategy, including $1 billion over 5 years to catalyze the establishment of a domestic biomanufacturing industrial base, $270 million over 5 years for the tri-service biotechnology for a resilient supply chain program, and $200 million to support biosecurity and cybersecurity related efforts. Now, the DoD biomanufacturing strategy supports a self-sustaining domestic biomanufacturing ecosystem. Three principles guide this strategy. 1, the department will establish transition partners for early stage innovations, e.g., at technology readiness levels 1 through 5. Number 2, the department will develop the field of biomanufacturing through innovations in practice and application. Number 3, the department will map the domestic biomanufacturing ecosystem and the changes that occur over time for identification and tracking of metrics to support future implementation and refinement of the DoD biomanufacturing strategy. $88 billion. Okay, now let me go back out because I can't. That's way. What, honey? Let me. What? You gotta wait, May.
Yeah, but you said in an hour. It's
Oh,
9.
okay. Not too long. Oh, wait. I'm sorry. I gotta go back down here. The Ministry of Defense of the Russian Federation continues to analyze the military and biological activities of the U.S. and its allies in Ukraine and elsewhere in the world. We noted earlier that during the special military operation, documentary evidence was obtained confirming that employees of the Biosphere Reserve were studying the migration routes of migratory birds and selecting and transferring biological material abroad. The task force of the Russian Ministry of Defense, together with officers of the Federal Security Service, have confirmed the collection and certification of avian influenza virus strains with a high potential for epidemic spread and the ability to cross the species barrier, particularly the H5N8 strain, whose lethality in human transmission can reach 40%. Remember that 1% of new big C infections result in death. 1%. The whole world was shut down for 1%. Despite efforts by the reserve staff to destroy the biomaterials by cutting off the power to the refrigeration units and destroying the cryopreservoir with liquid nitrogen, specialists from the 48th Central Research Institute of the Russian Ministry of Defense found traces of genetic material of highly pathogenic avian influenza, Newcastle disease virus, and evulovirus, even in the samples that had undergone decomp. According to the employees who remained in the reserve, the Ukrainian side offered them a large cash reward for removing or destroying the research results. Documents seized in the reserve's veterinary laboratory confirm the involvement of the Kharkov Institute of Veterinary Medicine in the work of the American UP8 and P444 projects and preparations for the flu flyway project. Their goal was to evaluate the circumstances in which the transmission of diseases associated with economically significant infections may become uncontrollable, result in economic harm, and constitute a threat to food security. It is necessary to emphasize that once more that the U.S. Department of Defense, an organization that has nothing to do with the research of bird migratory routes, commissioned the projects. Crazy, right? And you got to ask yourself that if they really cared about the people, why are they constantly doing experiment after experiment onto the American people? Yeah, that's fine. Just, if you leave a link to my videos, I would appreciate it. The Phantom channel, who is RB? And if you are referring to, no, Judy was talking about Dr. Rashid Buttar. Let's see. Because it is illegal in most countries due to the questionably ethical policy to enable modern eugenics research, good thing the U.S. is using one of the most corrupt nations to do its dirty work. Remember what RB said. Gates has more to come. Oh, yes. Believe me, they are going to do this again. They are for sure going to plan another thing. And I'm telling you, if you went back and you looked at Event 201, that happened before the Big C. After that, they did another one, but it was on a cyber attack. And now don't forget that they've issued all the senators those universal phones that will work in case of a man-made disaster. So they will have something else coming around the corner for us to freaking have to deal with. Okay. We're almost done here, guys. Okay. Now I want to talk about this picture real quick. Okay. So this is a teacher. This is a classroom. Okay. Understanding resilience strategies among minor attracted individuals. So again, now they are in school. See, first it was LGB, right? And then they added the T. And that's what we've been hearing about over and over and over again. Do you know what the next thing is going to be? Pedophiles. Oh, I'm sorry, YouTube. You don't like that word? You'd rather have me call them minor attracted persons? How about sick freaks? How about that? But let's talk about their inclusion and how important they are during Pride Month. Let's talk about minor attracted persons in school. I mean, come on, you guys. This is craziness. I can't even. Like, it just, I gotta take a breather. I'm working on trying to not let this affect my energy. Okay, so I'm learning to try to report on it, but at the same time, like, not let it bring down my aura and my energy. So I have to digress. I have to do that sometimes because I just get so like this right here, like telling kids and teaching kids how they need to include these people in this because it's not their fault, right? I just can't. Let's see. Keep it real, girl. My hubby is listening with me. Oh, good. I'm glad. Yep. Let me pull this up so you guys can see this one. The Department of Defense are the ones that gave us the Smith-Mundt Modernization Act of 2012. This allows the government to spread propaganda on behalf of the globalist state. I actually pulled up in one of my lives a video about that, and they were talking about that, and it's completely, totally legal. And there was I played a clip of Obama saying, he's like, all we got to do is flood the main streets with all this and, with all this crap and let the people sift through it. Until about 12, great. Everybody is a minor. Your aura is yellow, by the way. Really? Yellow, is that like sunshine? Oh, okay. All right. Now if you guys have not already done so, I think that's awesome. I think that's totally awesome. Especially I've been working on my chakras and trying to get all my chakras in balance. I listen to the stuff when I go to bed at night. I also do affirmations, positive affirmations to rid your body of negative energy and, all of that. So I'm really working on that. So I think that's awesome. Hey, Mag Americans, welcome. We were actually just if you were not here a little while ago, you should definitely rewind and watch the full video. But yeah, I've been working on that to try, because you guys should know it. Like, I get so passionate, and sometimes it comes off as angry, but on this stuff that I report to you guys on, like, it was affecting me on a day-to-day. It was like literally bringing me down, just the negativity in the world and just the crap that they pull. And so I've really been working on, trying to balance everything out. So yeah. Okay. So then let me pull up this next thing. Okay. Children's choir stopped mid-performance while singing the national anthem at the U.S. Capitol. Capitol Police claims it is a form of demonstration. So, yes, these kids were in the U.S. Capitol. They were singing the national anthem. And this guy walked up to the choir teacher and told him to stop. He had to stop them in the middle of singing. And they said, you cannot sing this here because it's equal to a protest. These little kids. Now, we're in a time right now where the national anthem cannot even be sung in the U.S. Capitol building. And you tell me that our leaders right now are not anti-America. You could never convince me otherwise. I mean, what a load of crap that is. These kids came to the U.S. Capitol to sing the national anthem. The national anthem. And they were cut off. Said, you can't sing that here. Because it's like protesting. It's sickening. It really, really is. Yeah, Lazy Llama. I actually, you know what's crazy? Is I have another channel. It's called From Root to Crown. And it's where I wanted to document my spiritual journey and things that I do to try to, raise my energy levels and raise my awareness and raise my aura, right? I get that third eye all the way open. And do you know that every single time I tried to upload a video on that channel, it would not let me. It would not go through. I probably tried about 14 times to upload a video on that channel, a positive video, and it just would not let me do it. And I re-recorded it. Like I was like, okay, maybe it's this one video. So I went and remade the whole entire video. It would not let me upload it. Craziness. I'm like, wow, they really, really don't want people to have this positive message spread to them. They really don't want people to better themselves spiritually and mentally. Craziness. Yeah, it's crazy. But I'm going to try again. I was just saying this. I'm going to try to be uploading over there again. Oh, you mean it's hard to make money doing this? Oh, for sure. That's what I said. YT is not a big fan of my channel. They don't like the stuff that I talk about. So obviously it's very hard for me to get seen. They don't recommend my videos. They don't want to help me in any way. Well, it's like that here. And so that's why, our channel pretty much runs off of donations from you guys, from our viewers, from our followers, from the people who actually support our content. That's why I am the way I am with, always mentioning donations and ask people to donate, because mainstream social media does not support the truth, and they will not push it. If I can actually get a video to upload, on that channel. I will start regularly uploading over there. Yeah, people really don't, Meg Americans, people really don't understand how hard it is for truthers, for people who are just trying to get the truth out there. Like, it is so freaking hard. And, you know, honestly, I'm donate to people who you listen to and love. Yes. Yes, Lazy Law, if I can get a video to upload over there, I will definitely put it up for you guys and let you guys know about it. We do get persecuted. People who try to spread the truth get persecuted, and we get called crazy, and we get all kinds of things. But, you know, those of you that have been following me for a long time, you know me. You know what I stand for. You know what I stand against. You know that I just keep it as real as can be. So if you guys, any donations are freaking greatly appreciated. Okay, let's move on. I got a couple more things and then I'll be all done for the night. And then don't forget that we have a members only live Sunday at 5. Just a reminder. All right. Now let's go over and listen to this video from Mr. Grady Judd. Y'all know who he is? Sheriff Grady Judd. I love that guy. All right, let me mute myself. Now, trigger warning, you know, he is talking about these parents, but actually, let me think. No, I'm not gonna play that up. But what I will do is just because it's so, what these parents did is just so crap. It's so bad. Oh, thank you, Llama. I appreciate it. But okay, so yeah, I decided I'm not gonna pull that up, but if you guys want to go check it out when I'm done with this live, I will go and I will put it in the description below. And if you guys have not seen the What is a Woman documentary by Matt Walsh on Twitter, please go check it out. And again, if you missed the video from earlier, please go check that out. Okay. DNR, hello. All right, you guys. So hold on one second. Let me see. Hold on a second. I got to go back to. Okay. All right. Yeah, so I just want to thank you guys all for being here. But I will not forget to put that link down in the description below, because parents, you know, should be aware, and, you know, but it's just a little too dark for me to want to put on here. So I hope you guys understand. Wait, why? Okay, let me get rid of this. I'll just stop sharing it. Okay, now let me get back over to you guys. See what you guys are saying. All right, you guys. So thank you so much for being here, being with me on this Friday. So from now on, every Friday will be a open chat, a Friday night live every Friday at 8 o'clock. And then every Sunday at 5 o'clock will be our members only live. And then through the rest of the week, I'll just upload the videos like I do. So that way you guys are always prepared for it. You always know when it's going to be here. Good night, Mama Moon, Meg Americans, the Phantom Channel, Lazy Llama, DNR, Wisco. Thank you guys all for being here. Mom first always. Judy, DS. Sorry, I don't want to miss anybody. Mama Moon. Mom First Always. Katie Bug. Suzanne. CY, thank you for leaving me on, even though you're at work. All right, you guys, I love you. Please hit that thumbs up. Please sub to the channel. If you want to become a member, the links are all down in the description below. I love you guys. Stay strong, stay healthy, stay safe. Keep asking those hard questions. Keep spreading that light. And anybody who wants to donate, the links are all down in the description below. I love you guys. Have an awesome, awesome weekend.